I just finished rewatching Season 3 of Attack on Titan. Today we are going to be breaking down and giving a complete review for it with spoilers ahead for the entire show. Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with too many YouTube channels. So, like I have been saying with these other two seasons that I've done, it has been phenomenal rewatching this series because of all the little attention to detail and every single little thing. It's like the show was written backwards and you get a whole brand new experience when you are viewing this for the second time. Typically, I'm not a guy who likes to rewatch shows, but this is one of them that, again, the attention to detail is so great, and you can see the way that it's written, and you get a different experience knowing what's to come, why Eren is experiencing all of these things. It was absolutely brilliant, and I can't wait to talk about it, so we're going to dive right in. There are a few things that I kind of want to glance over, like the first episode, for example. They kind of figure out that the government knows some secrets about the Titans. Pastor Nick ends up getting tortured, and nothing really happens. We have a lot of questions up until Kenny shows up. A killer from Levi's past. We see guns actually introduced into the series, which at the time when I was first watching this, I didn't really like the fact that we were getting a little bit more, I don't know if I want to say modern, because it still doesn't look modern, obviously. But I didn't like the fact that it's like kind of like the ODM gear versus guns, but we never really saw the guns again. And it was funny looking at them. It's like, oh my god, it's like these were designed to kill scouts specifically. I liked all of that. So the government at the time was trying to capture Historia and Eren. They knew something the scouts don't, and Levi had his first face-off with Kenny, but we don't know who Kenny is yet. So Levi ended up barely escaping Kenny, and it was pretty cool. Kenny's a cool character. I liked Kenny. I don't like Kenny as much as everybody who is like a giant AOT fan likes Kenny, but I thought he was a cool character. We also have a little bit of character development in the idea that the scouts are actually fighting against the humanity that they were sworn to save, right? John ended up hesitating, didn't kill anybody, and Armin had to save the day by actually shooting someone with a gun. You could see that taking a toll, and this was kind of like the start of Armin's descent into madness. You could tell none of them liked, and all of them were trying to do the right things. None of them liked having to actually fight against humans, and you could really, really see it in their face. And I don't know if I want to, like, what do you call it in Attack on Titan? You call it animators? You call it what an anime show? Whatever the artwork design behind that, you could just feel it in their face. You could see it in their eyes. And it tells so much of what's going on and how the characters are feeling without them actually expressing anything. So they end up escaping for the most part. We still have Eren and Historia doing their own thing. They ended up getting captured by Historia's father, but we're going to learn a little bit about that as time goes on. The only thing that we did learn, though, is what one of the pastors gave up, and that is that Historia is the true heir to the throne. But now to circle back to Historia, we learned a little bit about more of Historia's past, and I gotta say, I hated seeing a mother do that to her kid, where she just like freaked out on her. She was always reading and she wanted to give a hug that she always read about. I hated watching that. That was horrible. I have a soft spot for like kids like that. Oh man, that was honestly difficult to watch, and especially Historia ended up like not being happy and all of that. We also learned that her mother was executed by Kenny. Her father ended up having her take off, made her change her name to Krista to avoid execution. He comes in, he hugs Historia now. Eren's all tied up. He's hugging Historia, being like, I'm so sorry. And at the time watching this for the first time, it felt genuine. But obviously, he doesn't exactly care about Historia all that much. In the meantime, though, Erwin starts having a plan to overthrow the government because obviously, Historia is the one who is sitting on the Iron Throne. But they end up just kind of confessing to it, framing Erwin for a murder of, was it Historia's dad's kid? Could be wrong about that, but he ended up getting framed for a murder. All of the scouts are supposed to get arrested, and we were also revealed to a little bit of Erwin's past because it turns out that his dad was killed for suggesting that the walls were built to protect the elite and not to save humanity. The fact that we're like changing tunes this much in the show is so incredible to me. Like, I always circle back to the scene, like how they made such a monumental thing with Eren plugging a hole in the wall with a boulder, like it was the most important thing ever. And now we're world building to this extent. I think that's so cool. It's one of the best stories ever told. So the scouts officially are on the run. Erwin is being charged with murder. But to fast forward a little bit, the stage to overthrow the government and the king actually ended up working. They staged a Titan attack, and it worried, and the king sitting there, like, not the king, but the next guy down was like, hey, we need to not let anybody out. We need to let anybody in. Just plug the wall. Everything's going to be okay. Because their cruelty was revealed, they were easily overthrown, taken over. The scouts are no longer fugitives. They're in charge. All of that, and I wish I could break it down a little bit more for you, but it was kind of like, there really isn't too much to break down about that. It was just interesting the entire way through. So we get a little bit more information on Historia. Apparently, she's the last of her bloodline. Everybody else has been killed. And at the end of this episode, all of a sudden we see Historia back. And they're underground beneath the church in some, I don't know what to call it, like some crystal area, some special place for the Titans. And Aaron's all chained up. They're going to have Aaron eaten. And something I forgot to mention was the government wanted control of the Titans too. So they wanted Aaron to get eaten. Everybody wants Aaron to get eaten, which is horrible. So I always found that place where, you know, everything happened. I thought the like whole crystal place was actually really stunning. I don't know if they ever explained why it was like that or what's so special about it. If it was something special for the Titans or something that I missed. I don't know, but I thought it was pretty cool. But now the story takes off even more because we actually learn a little bit of the Titans' powers. We get a little bit more of information in the flashback. So Historia has to touch Aaron. And because I guess Historia has the royal blood, they get more memories introduced. And you can actually see Aaron remembering what happened with Grisha. He finally gets some memories. He finally remembers why he got the basement key. He finally remembers that Grisha gave him the power. He ate his dad, which was crazy. Historia gets information about her sister, but apparently that family can alter memories except for any Ackermans, which is Levi, Mikasa, and Kenny. Those are the three last Ackermans left, which is likely why they were being prosecuted. The way that this entire thing develops is so cool to me, and it's at the first time watching, it was so like revealing to get all this information. It just brought up more questions that you initially had. Now, watching the show, I understand the full picture, and it's so good. So Rod continued to end up explaining the truth, and originally the Founding Titan, which is now inside of Aaron, the original king who had that Founding Titan built 3 walls and erased everybody's memories, which we kind of, I don't remember if we knew earlier than this. It's getting a little bit it's getting difficult to remember when exactly we got that information, but regardless, we know now. So everybody was always talking about the entire time, like, nobody knows, like, this is always how it's been. Nobody knows what it was like, life outside the walls, and nobody knew that there was another piece of the world, anything like that. So I don't know why, but the Ackermans were the ones unaffected, which is probably why they're, you know, prosecuting Kenny. Now, the only other weird thing about this is whoever inherits the Founding Titan, it automatically will just have the will of the first king. So they won't want to save humanity. They'll just want to save themselves. And everybody's always like, don't worry, I got this. And then they just kind of have like that same Deadeye look, which is really interesting. So it picks up and Aaron's having a crisis because he's kind of believing what happened, where it's like, my dad stole this because he's not getting all of the pieces of information. So Aaron's essentially like kind of given up, but Historia is the one who sees through her dad, where he's like, you must take this. You must eat Aaron. You must take the Founder's power. But they're kind of like, well, why aren't you doing it? And it was revealed he doesn't want to actually become a Titan, and he has no interest in saving humanity. He just wants to restore his family name's power. That's all. And he wants to use his daughter. He doesn't care about her, which was, again, heartbreaking after watching what the mom did to her. Like, I feel so bad for Historia, man. But she has a badass moment. She tosses the syringe aside. It shatters. And she's like, no way. I'm going to go be with my friend. I'm going to take care of Aaron. I'm on your team. No matter what Aaron said, Historia decided to be with him. I mean, little too late. Dude, you know what's crazy is I don't care what any of my long lost parents would have said. If I know Aaron and he was my friend, I wouldn't even think about eating him. Like, guys, I'm sorry. Okay. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this down the road. If it were eat your friend or save the world, I wouldn't be eating my friend. Okay. I'm good. I'll put that responsibility on someone else. I'm not eating my friend. I'm not sacrificing my friend. But Rod ended up licking some of the Titan spinal fluid on the ground. I'm guessing that was the spinal fluid, right? And he transforms into, I don't know what they described the Titan to be, because he wasn't one of the Titans that they talk about, like the female Titan, the colossal Titan. He turns into this disgusting Titan. So then we have a really cool scene. The scouts attack Kenny and everybody guarding the door. Fantastic fight scene, by the way. The different strategies they used there, I loved all of that. And I think I'm rewinding a little bit, but Kenny ended up talking and interfering a little bit, where it's like, hey, this guy doesn't care about you, daughter, you know? He ended up intervening with all that. I thought that was pretty cool, but the dude turned into a giant Titan. Aaron saves the day by learning how to harden, and he's barely keeping everybody alive there, but he learned the ability, and he's a mess. His story is surprisingly not a mess. she kind of accepts responsibility that her dad must be taken care of, and she wants to restore herself as queen to save humanity. She also assures Eren that his dad wasn't a bad guy. He was actually trying to save humanity, and her family was the one that was just selfishly keeping the power. And this entire thing with that giant disgusting Titan was so cool because, again, Attack on Titan does such a good job of like making you feel what the characters are feeling, and like really capturing the size of these things. This thing is just slugging its way forward over to the wall. They are trying all of these ways to kill it, trying to think of all these different ways to kill it. They end up figuring out, and I think it was either Armin's or Erwin's idea, that the thing must not have a face because it's dragging itself through the however long it was traveling for. It was a really cool fight scene whenever it actually ended up actually getting to the wall. Felt a little bit like the Colossal. Eren transformed, stuffed a bunch of gunpowder in his mouth, blew it up, and Historia had the coolest moment because now she has to be an active, queen who wants to save the people. A bunch of people see her actually deal the final blow to her father, and the voice actor for Historia is really good too, man, because she came in, she did the job, she looked great, she injured herself for her people, she saved the day, so people are now up for actually having a brand new queen. Now, to be honest with you, the next little bit, there isn't really too much to break down because we get the information where Eren's trying to recall a particular scout in his father's memories. We kind of just get more confirmation that Eren did eat his dad, and we have the goodbye to Kenny. We figure out that he's not like such a bad guy after all. He just didn't feel fit to be a parent. And Levi got a syringe. So now they can turn somebody into a Titan if they want to. But now we continue on to arguably the best arc in Attack on Titan, okay? And I absolutely love this one. So they're finally going to go to the basement. They're finally going to go back to Shinganshina. The people cheer them on, which is very weird, right? They're like, yeah, go save humanity. And Eren actually felt a little bit respected for what he does. In the meantime, Eren has also been able to master his hardened ability, so everything's kind of thriving where they already were. They go in. They have a little bit of traveling, which was creepy, especially at night. They go back to Shiganshina, and everything's quiet. Everything's okay. Everything's perfectly fine. They succeed in their mission. Of course, it's the calm before the storm, right? And they do such a good job, man, about really feeling the calm before the storm, because we know, as the viewer, that Reiner and Bertolt and Zeke are there. And we still have questions about who the heck Zeke is at this point, right? So, they succeed in their mission. They're looking to find them, and Armin's the guy with the fantastic plan. He's like, we need to figure something out because they have been able to one-up us every single time because they know something about the Titans we don't. But Armin knew about the wall, so they started searching for everybody inside the walls. They found Reiner, kills somebody, transforms, battles on. But Zeke and all the Titans surround them. The Colossal Titan's on the other side, except at this point, the Colossal Titan hasn't transformed. And now Reiner is in the middle. They are completely 100% surrounded. But now things really kick into gear. We have a great fight. Eren taking on Reiner, Bertolt coming in, transforming into the Colossal Titan. It seems like there's absolutely nothing that anybody could do. And I love even the conversations like Armin had with Bertolt. Like, it was, they did such a good job at making you, like I said earlier, making you feel like you're part of the Scouts. You really did feel hopeless about what's going on. So, Eren's getting beat up. We're introduced to the Thunder Spears. They're doing a good job distracting Reiner, but there's nothing you can do with the Colossal Titan. There's nothing you can do with the Beast Titan. Eventually, who's going to flatten the whole place because he keeps throwing rocks the entire time. Something else I forgot to mention is, when they're looking for Reiner and Bertolt because they knew they were here, you had the things, and again, which is awesome that the show's written backwards, you had the things like the black tea. You had things like, Zeke putting, like, actually having the Titan throw, like, the rocks like a baseball pitch. We all know that because we're too familiar with that, but of course the Scouts wouldn't know. I remember at one point, somebody called Zeke a monkey too. And then, did somebody say what was that? Regardless, someone looked confused at the idea of like a monkey or something along those lines. I love it, okay? But now, we take a pause because we have one of the most iconic moments in Attack on Titan history, that being Erwin's final moments. He said that he's going to announce his final mission. He tells everybody the truth. You're going to charge your death, and here's the plan. We're going to give Levi enough time to take on Zeke. And that speech, dude, the amount of times that I've had an edited speech like that on TikTok, where when I was rewatching this, it didn't hit nearly as hard because on TikTok, they have like the Bloody Mary edit song with it. Like, all of it is so cool. The speech is perfect. The voice actor is beyond phenomenal. Like, you can feel it in his core when he's like, my soldiers rage. And like, I probably sounded stupid just saying that because I can't even compare to like whoever voices Erwin. phenomenal, dude. But it doesn't end there, because it cuts to that. It's like all motivational. They're all just dying, right? They're all just disappearing. Levi comes in. Titans are falling. Titans are falling. Titans are falling. Zeke underestimated. And we cut to a flashback. It's like, there's a single soldier who might pose a threat. And Levi just absolutely annihilates the dude, cutting him up, getting him out of there. Me just saying it doesn't do this scene justice. Dude is done with all of it. He shoves his sword into his throat. And he's like, I asked you a question. All of it. Loved it all. But we're not even done. The Colossal Titan still needed to be taken down, and Armin had to lie to Eren about how to take it down. He's like, hey, he even looked at Eren and said, hey, have I ever lied to you before? We can do this. I just have to hold out, and Armin was going to completely sacrifice himself. The first time that I watched this, when he came up to Bertolt, and Bertolt even, like, they took advantage of his compassion for Armin. He's like, I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. Armin's voice actor, again, great, screaming. Like, oh, you can really feel the pain. The dude's just, he's melting. And all you hear is Eren, gotcha. He is able to get to the Nape, takes Bertolt out, and they actually won. They actually won. I don't remember what happened to Reinhardt at this moment. Oh, no, he ended up being with Zeke, because Zeke ended up getting captured. But all of that was so good. At the time, I thought Armin actually died, and I was just sitting there like, it was incredible. They baited, like, the way that they choreographed this entire thing was perfect. But it doesn't get any better, because now we find both Erwin and Armin both still alive. Armin's just a black burnt body, and Erwin is barely breathing. Now they have the syringe, and we know we can keep one of them alive. We can have them eat Bertolt, right? And even like Zeke and Reiner ended up taking off because they just accepted the fact that Bertolt's gone. And Zeke even said something like, you're really lucky today. And initially they were going to give it to Armin because he was still breathing. But then somebody ended up bringing back, and I can't remember who it was. The one soldier that survived after making such a big deal about everything. I thought that was like tragically beautiful too, the way they told that. But this was one of my favorite episodes in Attack on Titan history of who to actually give the syringe to. I don't know what kind of debate there's been online, but I can tell you what I would do in that position. I would save Armin. I wouldn't care. I'm sorry, like, I'm all for respecting your captain and everything. I'm all for that. But it would just go out the window. Even when Eren was like, Levi was telling him like, hey, Eren, check your motions. He's like, can't do that. And Mikasa started attacking him too. I loved when they turned on each other, and even like Levi was too exhausted to stop Mikasa. All of it was great. All of it was really, 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 really good. I still don't know, like, I can't even conceptualize, like, okay, yeah, I know he's probably gonna save the world, but he's my friend. Like, I would choose my friend over somebody who's likely to save the world, but they were fairly convincing in saying Armin would be able to save the world. But if we were like, if I was stuck in that situation, I wouldn't have thought about it again. I'm going to spoil Demon Slayer, so if you don't want to hear this, skip a good couple minutes, okay? You have 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's the same type of conversation when people were talking about should Tanjiro save his sister or should Tanjiro save 3 people. I'm not even thinking twice about it. I'm saving my sister. Just like I wouldn't think twice about it here. I don't care what happens to the rest of the world. I'm saving my friend. I almost don't get how you could think any other way. Like, you have one of your best friends, in this case Armin, his best friend in the whole world. You're saving this guy. I would have attacked whoever I needed to attack to get that syringe and put it into Armin. That was the right thing to do. But Erwin instead wanted Armin to continue and chose his resting place. Levi ended up bringing Armin back. He ended up eating Bertolt. He was screaming. Armin's back. Armin's good to go. Armin wakes up and he's completely like horrified at the person that he's become. But we kind of gloss over that a little bit because we finally get to the basement. And you know what's crazy is they've been building up this basement scene since the beginning of Attack on Titan. And the story was so interesting that I forgot about it. We finally get to the basement, and it was so cool even just walking up there, seeing what Shingon Shina ended up looking like. You know the show's good when I remember Shingon Shina, by the way. Just seeing their kid versions of themselves run around and like being familiar with the surroundings. They did a good job at making the surrounding area feel familiar, but foreign at the same time. Thought it was great. After finally getting to the basement, they get the idea confirmed that Erwin's belief that humans are also existing outside the walls confirmed. It was Grisha's lab, I guess you could call it, and what he was working on in the basement. It wasn't just medicine. There was actually information, and Erwin was right this entire time, but the horrible thing about this was he wasn't alive to actually see it. He was so close. And then when we finally get to all of that information about Grisha with the memories and the information that they just found, I also thought that that was one of the coolest reveals ever. I thought that was one of the most interesting episodes I've ever watched. We get the entire story about the Eldians, Marley, we know what's beyond the walls now, and we have the actual confirmation that the Pure Titans are humans. And what's crazy is Dina ended up getting transformed into the Smiling Titan, the one that killed Eren. All of that was crazy. The way that they were just sick, like watching the ones like run after all the Titans, like, oh, they run, but they always end up getting caught. Just punishing people, turning them into Titans. We get the backstory on Zeke. Man, it was so deep, and I can't believe, again, that we've come to this point after just the original few episodes that we've watched from Attack on Titan. I loved it. I thought it was an excellent way to tell the story, and Grisha's backstory is so tragic. He ends up getting saved last minute by the owl, and he actually ends up getting his Titan form, and I guess they were just left to be punished on that island. We also get information on how the entire world sees these people as island devils, and the final thing we have with Grisha is memories about having to save Armin and Mikasa, but he doesn't know who they were, and he's like, I don't know, they're not my memories. That left a little confusion. Again, the show does such a good job at just raising new questions with everything that we have answered. So it doesn't stop there, because we're back, and I don't know what walls they were in, but they were meeting with, I guess, everyone in charge now, the brand new government. Eren has a realization that he can command Pure Titans, and it was because he actually came into contact with the Founding Titan. He doesn't want to have that information out. He wants to keep it to himself because he's worried about what they would do to Historia. I would worry the same thing. I think he made the right move. Because Historia's queen, she decided to tell the people the truth that they deserve to hear, and I guess people took it in. Everybody's had their memories erased, and there is humanity outside the walls, and everybody ends up hating these new island devils. But we have a little bit of a time jump over the course of a year or so. I think it was a year, whatever amount of the time skip it was. All of the Titans have been slaughtered, and you can see Eren actually having compassion for these people because he's more knowledgeable now, and he has more of a connection to all these Titans. They end up actually reaching the place where Grisha's memories were, and not only that, they reached the sea. And it was such a beautiful, happy, and sad moment at the same time, because it just, the fact that Armin and Mikasa were looking at each other, and Armin actually ended up getting to see the sea, and that was another thing that they dove so far into, where Eren was like describing why he should revive Armin, because he still had a dream, he still had something to live for, and nobody believed him about the sea, and they figured it out, and they were like finding that it was salty, their people, like everyone's eyes hurt, and they were splashing around it. It was so weird to see these people smiling. It was so weird to see Armin and Mikasa smiling. But Mr. Down in the Dumps Eren couldn't enjoy it for just a second, couldn't enjoy Armin's dream. I know, I get it. I get what you're going through. But let Armin have his moment, dude. After everything that the dude's been through, come on. So Eren just kills the mood, going, is freedom beyond that? Our enemies wait for us. And just had to like ruin the entire mood. So it was really cool. It was really happy. And then it turned really sad after the entire time. And what I do like about this is, while the story was so tragic, they actually did end up reaching the sea. And this is what's going to bring us into season 4, which I already started, and I cannot wait to talk about again, because there's a lot to unpack over there. But if you want to continue talking about Attack on Titan, why don't you check out my season 1 review right here, which is one of my favorite seasons. I love this show so much. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. Take care, guys.